Los Angeles contains more crazy people than any other city in the world, and more clever people, too. Whether the man I'd come to see is crazy or clever, I'd never been able to decide from a distance. Perhaps I could find out from up close. Having hired the smallest limousine I could find, I set off for the hilltop Shangri-La, which my quarry nowadays seldom sets foot outside. A man who built an empire out of an idea, he's changed the world, but he rarely goes out to see it. Instead, he makes it come to him.
Does she walk? Does she talk? Does she come complete? My homeroom angel always gave me my seat.
Judging from the latest issue, Playboy still hadn't given up on the idea that a naked woman is some kind of philosophical statement. But I couldn't rule out the possibility that this strange publication's founding editor was on the side of the angels, even if his idea of an angel had a lot of trouble fitting onto one page of the magazine. Hugh M. Hefner stood for free speech for everybody, and it soon turned out for everything.
Welcome to the Playboy Mansion. Please identify yourself.
Clive James to meet Mr. Hefner.
Thank you, sir. Go right on up.
Thank you.
Take your car ride. Take it to a motel room. Take them all.
Admitted by the talking rock into the precincts of Hefner's playground, I was expecting to see at least a few traces of what the magazine used to suggest was a 24 hours a day orgy. But the air of respectability was overwhelming. It might as well have been Balmoral. Not a single nymph sprang naked out of the shrubbery. Not even the butler looked decadent.
Good morning, Mr. James. Why don't you come on in?
Oh, sure. What's your name?
My name's Philip.
Glad to meet you.
Nice to meet you, too.
Philip didn't look much like my idea of the average Playboy reader, but maybe the magazine was going for a wider audience nowadays.
Mr. Hefner will be down directly. Feel free to make yourself at home.
Thanks a lot.
Anyway, Philip left me alone in the neo-baronial lobby, and I did what any fully paid-up member of the National Union of Journalists would do in the circumstances. I snooped. Could this be the severed testicle of some previous investigative journalist? I strove to appear casual for the benefit of any possible hidden TV cameras. Hefner was a powerful man. You could tell that from the layout. The poor boy with the Puritan background had come a long way from the days when he edited the first issue of Playboy on a kitchen table in Chicago. What you couldn't tell was that his power was no longer what it had been. He wasn't down to his last million or even 100 million, nor was he short of toys. But in the last 5 years, the Playboy Corporation had suffered a succession of severe financial setbacks. The collected trophies were potent reminders that the urge which had started all this off was not easily quelled. Nevertheless, I had a look of sympathetic concern ready should the founding father of the Playboy enterprise, who was now in semi-retirement, turn out to be a doddering invalid.
Hello there.
Hi, I'm Clive James.
I'm Hugh
I've come to
Hefner.
welcome.
This is my lady, Carrie Lee.
I'm very glad to meet you.
And welcome to Playboy Mansion.
For a 61-year-old man who takes no other nourishment except hamburgers and drinks nothing but Pepsi-Cola, Hefner looked in dauntingly good shape. Certainly, as we set off to see the grounds, he seemed to be in far better condition than I was. Only the pajamas and dressing gown supported the assumption that Hefner was bedridden, and those he was famous for wearing at all times of the day. Also, he was out of bed, and there was the additional consideration that when he got into it, he shared it with Carrie Lee. A 24-year-old aspiring actress, Carrie Lee is the latest of Hefner's permanent companions and looks all set for a long run. Hefner is clearly besotted by her, despite, or perhaps because of, a discrepancy in age equivalent to the distance between the first flight of the Wright brothers and the outbreak of World War II. Hefner had a stroke not long ago, and he's under medical compulsion to slow down anyway. But whether in response to necessity or in recognition of the cooling climate in sexual permissiveness, nowadays there is more talk of monogamy than there used to be. Or perhaps the blow to Hefner's brain led him to the discovery that he had a heart. When Hefner published the first long installments of his Playboy philosophy, a relationship was something you had in order to get laid, the real aim being to meet a new Carrie Lee every night. If the philosopher now feels that one Carrie Lee is enough to be going on with, it wasn't hard to see why that should be so. And there are good reasons why Hefner should strive to present a picture of normality in a well-run house where even the animals know how to behave.
Teeny weeny.
Playboy's gambling interests collapsed amid rancor and mighty loss of revenue. The Playboy clubs have been shut down or franchised out. Overtaken by the competition it paved the way for, the Playboy approach looks so soft-core it's a pink blur. But a commission set up by President Reagan included Hefner's magazine in its definition of pornography, which did not help the sales figures. And the AIDS virus grows no less virulent, making promiscuity, which the back numbers of Playboy feature on every page, look like a back number itself. The empire was tottering before Hefner's daughter Christy took charge. Now she calls the shots from Chicago, while the patriarch writes his autobiography and lives a quiet life the man he used to be wouldn't recognize. If Carrie Lee was the key to his transformation, here was my chance to find out more about her. Hefner went off to his office to supervise the preparations for that night's big party, which I was vaguely hoping would fulfill the adolescent fantasies that Playboy magazine had put into my mind in the first place. In her underground gymnasium, Carrie Lee began the daily workout that leaves her looking younger than ever. I could think of nothing better to do than watch Carrie Lee build her body, even though her body was, as far as I could see, already built. What are you actually doing there?
Well, I'm trying to keep my tummy flat, and this is for the abdominal muscles, which gives you the nice line down here.
Yeah.
I do that 5 days a week.
Wow. Which machine are you going to work on next?
Let's do something for the legs.
Well, I'll be ready to cooperate in that. Just leave me to it.
Okay, right over here.
Can I sit up here and sort of watch? Yeah, you're in terrific shape.
Thank
Do you do this every day?
I do it 5 to 6 days a week. Actually, I do lower body 3 days a week and upper body the other 3 days, 2 or 3 days. Whew.
Did Mr. Hefner build this gym just for you?
Yes. I mean, other people use it, but it was just for me. He wants to keep me in shape.
Tell me about the real Hugh Hefner, the one the rest of us don't know.
He's like a little boy in a lot of ways. He's very intelligent. He's very sensitive. He's very caring and giving. He has a great sense of humor.
Was it love at first sight? You were a 19-year-old girl and this
Yes, it
mature,
was. I
powerful
think
man?
more than anything, I was really infatuated with him. I mean, probably because of who he was and because he's a very sweet man.
So how did he, what's the word, woo you? Did he woo you?
We wooed each other.
Oh, yeah?
Yes. We saw each other across the room.
Yeah.
And just gave each other a little look, you know, that kind of look.
Was he suave or was he corny?
He was a little shy,
Yeah.
and I am too, actually. And it's funny, over the years we've found out that we have a lot in common. I mean, at first we didn't really think that we did. We both didn't think it would last. And it's just grown. I've grown, he's grown. We're both better people for it.
Tell me how he's a better person for knowing you.
I think it's easier for him to deal with women now. I mean, sort of on a one-to-one basis and as a friend. I don't think he really, before, could deal with a woman, you know, as a friend, as a companion, somebody that he could sit down and talk to, which I think is hard for a lot of men.
He's practically a family man now, isn't he?
Yes, actually he is. We have a couple of dogs and we have a kitten, and I feel quite motherly.
Do you ever feel motherly to the extent that you might have children?
No. Both of us we'd have to want to have it and know that we're going to be good parents and dedicated. And that takes a lot of thought and a lot of time. And it takes up a lot of your life. And I'm not ready for that.
You're the subject of men's fantasies. Are you happy to be that?
Yes, I've done that to myself. So if I'm not happy with it, it's my own fault. Because I never thought that I was an attractive child. And I always wanted to grow up to be beautiful and lusted over.
A lot of feminists would say you were letting down the side talking like this. Are you a feminist?
In some ways.
Name one.
Well, I think that women should get just as much money as men for jobs and things like that. And,
Are you independent?
I am in some ways, yes.
Are you?
But I like to be taken care of, too. I like the security. I like the security that Hef gives me.
Suppose as Mr. Hefner gets older and he goes on taking his energy from younger people, he might find a new, even younger girl.
He wouldn't do that. I mean, I'm not saying that he wouldn't leave me if we weren't getting along and I was doing things in my life that he couldn't handle or he didn't agree with, then he might start looking around. But I don't think that he'd one day wake up and say, I think I want a younger woman, just out of the blue. No, I don't think so.
Are you happy here?
Yes, I am. Yes.
I was enjoying my chat with Carrie Lee, but duty called. The message came through that Mr. Hefner was ready to be interviewed in his office. Carrie Lee insisted on taking me there through her pet patch of indoor jungle.
This is where we keep all our little birdies.
I see. Yeah.
Lots of different kinds.
Well, they're birds, all right.
That's what they are.
During our trek through the steaming greenery, I learned that the party that night would be a very big deal, since it would feature nothing less than the announcement of the Playmate of the Year. Not even Carrie Lee had been Playmate of the Year. She had been photographed for the magazine without any clothes on, of course, but not as a Playmate, meaning she hadn't appeared in one of those enormous center spreads you have to unfold like a blueprint of a semi-rigid airship.